Prior to the taping of this episode, a friend of mine, Jan Scott Fraser, who worked on several anime, let everyone know that one of the chief animators and character designers for today's licensed Fist of the North Star, Masami Suda, passed away at age 77. Suda-san worked on everything from Gotcha Man and Speed Racer to his most recent series, Fist of the Blue Sky, which is streaming right now on Crunchyroll, and go check it out if you haven't. This one was delayed because I removed some content that'd be in pretty poor taste given the fact that the man passed away. I was kind of just roasting and goofing on the design aspect of the show and some of the anime stuff, so I'm going to still leave all my regular commentary in, but I removed the other things because it was pretty... It would just seem like I wasn't being respectful enough to a man who just passed away, or his family, you know? So I've removed that stuff, and I'm dedicating this episode to Suda-san and his legacy. So please, pardon my voice, which has been blown out. If you see my high spots of a Mark's life, you'll understand why my voice sounds like this for most of the episode. I blew my vocal cords out cheering at a wrestling event. But for now, enjoy the show.
Get upset on the internet. You're a salt adult.
Hi everybody, welcome to Retro Station 1989. I'm Commander Dan, Commander and lone inhabitant of the Retro Station. Along for the ride are my friends Margot, the ship's AI, Cambot Jr., who's doing his job right now, and Splat, who's busy doing some other things for me at the time. So, this is License to Play, where we review retro games based on licensed material, like comic books, movies, novels even, breakfast cereal mascots, TV show mascots, game shows. Hell, we do it on anything. In fact, if it was licensed and it was retro, we review it. Now, my voice is blown out because I was watching a broadcast from Earth that I never thought I'd see in my whole life. Turns out one of my favorite wrestlers returned to wrestling. You can see a video on the Real World thing elsewhere here on the site. But for now, we're talking games. Now, we recently delved into a vision of an apocalyptic future, with Bruce Willis battling the forces of darkness and ultimately failing. And since there wasn't a sequel, it was a crap vision of a dung heap future. And you know what? That's in the long, long ago, folks. What we have now is a different vision. Not necessarily a nicer or better vision, but a vision with a possible hope. America always looks toward the future when it comes to a portion of their entertainment. Sometimes we love a story about a young robot designed to protect humanity from other soulless robots on the attack, for example. Or a giant robot controlled by a child, pure of heart to protect everyone. Or just a kick-ass race car. Japan in the 60s provided these visions, and over time, the large robots became menacing, hiding from humanity in a war for resources behind the scenes. Or, in a post-apocalyptic and soulless world, humanity becomes monstrous with powers beyond imagination. Or finally, a vision of a post-apocalyptic world where only might is right, and beyond that, a world where the instinctive act of survival is a sin against our Creator and creation itself. Anime these days encompasses every kind of story, from a slice of life to adventure tales of worlds never seen, to superhero parody, to whatever the hell Fooly Cooly is. And I love it all. You know, my world changed forever when my dad brought us to the theater with tickets to see a cartoon called Akira. Now, I showed him the mini review in Fangoria when I was like 14, I think. It was 1989. And in that theater, we watched animation like we'd never seen before. And were shown a vision of the future that was both lush with technological neon advancements and also a pessimistic view of our chances of changing our cycle of destruction. It was such an adult story, but it was so complex, and even though it was kind of inscrutable at the time because of the density of the material, I was hooked. Growing up, our local television station showed Robotech, again showing a future of war but human accomplishment in the face of overwhelming odds. We taped basically the Macross Saga portion to VHS as much as we could. I caught most of the episodes. They came in on the morning at first on TV, and then just before we got home from school for a portion of the year, so I wasn't always able to catch every episode. Somewhere in that time, I happened to get a copy of the full version of Robotech, so I have that now on DVD. But between Victory against all odds in a weird, technologically superior and soulless future of biological monsters, there was today's featured title, given to me by a friend in 1991. Shout out to Lauren, my brother of another bloodline, who introduced me to Fist of the North Star and Dragon Ball, and the 5-star stories, and the incredible artistry of Mamoru Nagano and his designs in Heavy Metal L Game, and the wonders of the magazine New Type. I'm an anime fan today because my friend Lauren opened my eyes to things beyond Akira and Robotech, and showed me the source for today's selection when I was in high school, and man, it was incredible. Today we're talking about Fist of the North Star by TAXAN. This is an NES game, one of more than a few games that were released out there with this license, as a matter of fact, including the Sega-designed Fist of the North Star Lost Paradise on PlayStation 4, which plays a lot like the Yakuza series. It's got mini-games and a fighting system reminiscent of Yakuza's Virtua Fighter Evolved Fighting. Last Battle for the Genesis was a translation of that license and multiple Super Famicom and Famicom games, so this license has a lot of popularity overseas. But you're asking yourself, I'm sure, if you don't know, what is Fist of the North Star? Well, check this out. Fist of the North Star, Hokuto no Ken, literally Fist of the Big Dipper, was created by the artist and writer pairing of Tetsuo Hara and Buronson on writing duties as a manga serial in Shonen Jump, a weekly manga magazine with popular serials. They were designed to attract tweens and teens with their action-driven storylines, cutting-edge art, and bold stories. Shonen Jump published Fist of the North Star from 1983 to 1988, and was, in my opinion, the third of the 3 pillars of anime coming to America in the 80s, the first 2 being Robotech and Akira. And the story was designed to appeal to mass audiences. Action series are simplest to share across the board. George Lucas is, as a matter of known fact, a great director and a cinematic visionary. Even if his visions sometimes were gambles and without good editorial guidance, failed to penetrate the zeitgeist as a result, his contribution to the craft of filmmaking is without peer in the 20th century and the 21st. That's just a fact. George said in the documentary regarding the events of Episode 1 that his movie could be told and understood without sound. It could be watched as a silent film and still make sense, and that was his goal. And it does.
The Star Wars films are basically silent movies, and they're designed as silent movies. Therefore, the music has a very large role in carrying the story, more than it would in a normal movie. Most movies, the story is carried by the dialogue. Star Wars films, the music carries the story. So that the music is extremely important, just as it would be in a silent movie.
Like John Wick, or any story of kick-ass action and revenge, they translate without words. You could watch John Wick and you would understand what's going on no matter what. Fist of the North Star, in its OVA, or original video animation form, was enough for the animation fans. But video games are usually hybrid affairs, and the best of them adapt both the manga and the anime series. Let's go over the basics. Oh boy, and it's not very basic. It's a Shonen Jump series, so if you're aware of how those go, you're probably aware of how this is going to be difficult to give you a boiled down version of Fist of the North Star. At any rate, Fist of the North Star, its story revolves around martial arts masters in a Mad Max-style post-apocalyptic future. The hero, Kenshiro, is chosen to be the chosen master of Hokuto Kenshin, the art of assassination, or Jet Kundo as it's called, I believe, in the Sega Master System game and the Sega Genesis game. Kenshiro's honorary brothers in the martial arts are infuriated by this choice. Shin uses the outrage to confront Kenshin over their mutual love interest, Yuria, and defeats Kenshin, marking him with the Big Dipper constellation by slowly inserting his fingers into his chest. Ouch. To forever mar Ken and remind him of his defeat at the hands of who he believes ought to be the chosen master of Hokuto Kenshin. The eldest student, Rao, does not intervene in the fight, but instead informs their master that he will one day rule the world with an army of loyal followers, and essentially abandons everyone. The story in the manga is stretched out. No tournament episodes or anything like that, but man, the story ends with Kenshin defeating his 3 martial arts brothers in turn and bringing peace to himself, if not the land. It's got love, hate, action, killing, and Bat and Lin and car baseball. Okay, maybe just one of the video games has that. Now, how do you fit all of that into an NES cart? So, what do you do with a long-running popular series made up of hardcore action and brutality with heightened, almost melodramatic story beats when all you have available to create a video game from it are the Sega Master System or NES or, as they did in Japan, the Master System, Genesis, and Famicom? Well, they used a template began from an arcade title, another licensed title, this time Spartan X, which was a Jackie Chan film better known as Wheels on Meals, and known in the US as the video game was known as Kung Fu Master or Kung Fu for the NES, the forebear of belt-scroller fighting games. Let's take a brief look at the games that came before the one that I'm going to evaluate today, maybe get some perspective on what was being tried out there. Fist of the North Star has had a bunch of video games made in the wake of the 80s. I mean, just based on this one license, there's been just a lot of video games. I believe pachinko machines, which I can't show you here because it's illegal to get video of them, but arcade machines, PS4 games, and just games for every system you can think of almost. The first game of the Fist of the North Star brand and series of games was a visual adventure, kind of like the animated light novels found today in great numbers, also called visual novels, like Police Knots or Snatcher were. It was followed by the Master System game Hokuto no Ken, which was ported to America in the West as Black Belt. It was completely altered, so it had nothing really to do with Kenshiro or Shin or Rao or anybody else. But they were both based on the truncated anime story, and the Sega action game version had interesting boss fights that required specific strategies to defeat, like it was a la Yar Kung Fu and Kung Fu Master or Spartan X. The next game in the series after that one was released by Toei for the Famicom and was a pared-down translation of the gameplay on the Master System and doesn't feature a lot more than basic action when dealing with the bosses, which are based on the first anime series in the Master System version, which included Mr. Hart, Shin, Jagi, Souther, and Rao, and the simplistic gameplay earned it a low 20 score in Famitsu Japan, the magazine of record when it comes to video games. The game we received was the second of the Toei games, released in America under the TAXAN production label, and was received slightly better because it was more graphically advanced and was relating to the content of the current events in the Hokuto no Ken anime series airing on television at the time, which allowed it to receive a nearly 30 rating for those who were aficionados of the license itself, which was a fair to middling score in Famitsu magazine. Since then, there have been iterations of the Genesis Mega Drive, which in America was known as Last Battle, reviewed by My Heroes Over Continue, and more recently for the PS4, Fist of the North Star, Lost Paradise. That's where we showed you the car baseball game. So, the license is popular overseas. I mean, it's featured in magazines. This is actually Zillion, another licensed property, but since I don't have a Master System, we won't be playing it, but I'll tell you, license to play. That's the long and the short of that one. But yeah, it's featured in magazines. It's a huge license over there. Just fantastic. And I've seen the films myself. If you've never seen them, get on the stick and see those things. In fact, this game is the first time I ever saw Fist of the North Star in any form, before I saw the movies. Other than RoboCop, not RoboCop, what am I saying? Robotech. Other than Robotech or Guy King or Transor Z, any anime whatsoever. The first exposure I had to any anime besides like Robotech and Guy King and Transor Z, it was Fist of the North Star. So let's evaluate Fist of the North Star and see if it has a license to play. Fist of the North Star by TAXAN was created in-house by the animation company Toei under their Shui system development team led by designer Kenichi Suzuki. It was released in North America in 1989 April, which is my birth month, which is also my birthday, which is how I actually got to play this game the first time. I rented it, Monster Party and Milan Secret Castle, all at once. And of the three, I have to say I liked this one fine, but loved Monster Party, which we'll probably review in the future, since it's a weird one, kind of like Apocalypse. It's a licensed title, but without a license. Fist of the North Star for NES is actually based on the second film, and some of the manga. And some of the OVAs. You know, this license has been so weirdly translated over to America. Like, they try to add stuff they think we'll like every time. And all they needed to do is just tell the story straight up, or just show a couple scenes from the cartoon. But the game, if you're not familiar with Kung Fu or Vigilante or arcade terminology, it's what they call a single-lane, belt-scrolling beat-em-up. It has 8 stages of combat with 8 bosses that need to be eliminated for your revenge. In this series, it's taking place in the future, and you're helping Bat and Lin recover the wasteland. So, in stage 1, you fight your way to the arena where you face off with Bask. The battle features kicking and punching, and bonuses for hitting Bask low and eventually punching him until he explodes. Like this. See? Stage 2 is against Jailer. It's spelled Gaylor in the manual, but it's not Gaylor, it's Jailer. He's a hideous fat man by the manual's description. But I'm just big bone and beefcake by his own description, I imagine. He attacks with smoke and fire, which you gain once you've pummeled his love handles into pork sausage and explode him all throughout the universe and time itself. Like a beef piñata. Like this. See? Easy peasy. And cleanup will be a horror show. Up next is stage 3, where we begin hunting the generals of Gento. Tiger is the first, the green light general, because he wears bright green chroma armor and he drops the white light bombs once you kick his face off. Like this. See? Stage 4 is Sora. Purple light Sora, well, or Sola, because of the armor again, and you punch through his butthole with your fisting of the North Pole, or whatever it's called, like this. See? Stage 5. You face off with a villain known only as Blue Light Special. Or, no, Blue Light Bolts. Because he's totally nude under that armor and once ate 10 million chicken wings and 40 beers and farted in a Kmart so hard that an old lady passed out. Look, the manual doesn't say what's up with him. You redact facts from me, I'm going to insert something interesting in there instead of nothing. Stage 6 is a temple where you face Red Light Bronza, named because of the time he found himself in the red light district and made out with a sex worker who left bronzer all over his face, and his wife divorced him. He's probably one of the most dangerous villains in the game. Again, they redacted it, didn't say why he's named Bronza. Although, if I'm actually thinking, it's probably Red Light Blazer or something like that. The translation in this, you can tell it's been like not westernized very well. But because he's so bitter, you have to kick his butt because he's bitter and dangerous. But if you persevere and use your deadly zillion kicks to the nuts, you'll explode him like an overripe guava. Like so. See? Stage 7, Gold Falco. No, not that guy. No, not that guy either. First, that's Klaus Nomi. He's always mistaken for a Falco, and not this Falco. And besides, this isn't either of those Falcos. They're not there. One of them isn't even Falco. This guy is Gold Falco. But this is what you do to Gold Falco. See? Simple. Do that. And the final stage is stage 8, where you fight Shula. No, Not Don Shula. No, not Laura Schuler Donner. She's a production partner of Kathleen Kennedy. Shura, master of Gento Karate and final boss, is also called Shura the Unknown, or Shura the Unnamed, which will make it easy when you do this to him to win the whole game. Like that. See? The game's action is fun, but difficult, and if you're not prepared to dodge, dip, duck, dive, and dodge, and even if you master those skills, well, guess what? You're still going to get something like this. Now, the graphics are okay, and the score is good, but unless you know the anime, specifically the first OVA, and the noise that Kenshiro makes when he uses his 1,000-hand strike, you'll understand what's going on with this sound of the game. Because that's the sound of how you explode someone using Gento Karate's 1,000-fist strike. See? But that noise is very grating. So after you dominate the planet with super crazy kicks and thunder punching people in the clavicle through the dust and the wreckage, the question remains. So, that's a lot of stuff going on in one game. Pretty interesting, I'm sure. But before I let you make your decision at home, let me show you one last thing. And believe me, if you are lactose intolerant, the cheese is going to strip the enamel off your teeth. It's going to blow the flesh off your bones. It's going to hit you with the 1,000-hand technique that makes your butthole explode. But here it is, the live-action version of Fist of the North Star. One of the best scenes in the history of film. Show it, Cambot Jr. See? What'd I tell you? Best thing you ever saw, right? Well, that just leaves us really with one question for old Fist of the North Star for the NES. Doesn't have a license to play. You know, given the other options out there for Fist of the North Star games, I mean, Last Battle blows us out of the water. The first game is no good for the Famicom, but this game, it's good, but sorry, no. I'm going to have to revoke this game's license to play, and I would love to give it a pass just because of Suda-san's passing, but no way. This game wasn't the best they could do. In fact, the best they could do is on PS4 right now. I think it's like $15. It might even be free if you have like the PlayStation Play thing. Like they might be giving it away right now. That's what I'm saying, because Sega's been giving a lot of their games, into those services for free. Fist of the North Star, Lost Paradise is amazing. I will give credit to this game for being a step on the way, a piece of the road on the path. But as far as its license to play is concerned, sorry, I got to tell you no. So, that being said, thanks everybody for swinging by. Be sure to check out my other series, High Spots of a Mark's Life. I've got some live footage of CM Punk's return to the AEW. I've also got my review series for movies, which is called Staff Picks. That's undergoing a change right now. And we'll be back next week with another sweet licensed game that you may or may not have ever heard of. In fact, this is very much akin to the Apocalypse game where they licensed a person on top of the license. All right, so if you're excited about that, let me know down below. If you liked what you saw, give me a thumbs up. And more than anything else, please subscribe and become one of my space pirates. You won't regret it. Or you will. This is a big, wide world. You can regret anything. But don't, because you'll get awesome shows like this, and you'll be notified when I put up more shows. So, more than anything else I've said in this episode or anywhere else on the internet for whatever reason, remember to always, always, always stay retro. Peace.
Get upset on the internet. You're assault adult. You're assault adult. Get upset on the internet. You're assault adult. Throwing out a hissy fit, your views ain't in the millions, and every up and comer is a threat to what you're dealing. And instead of getting better, you just spout up on your Facebook, crying on your Twitter bit about how bad your case look. In case you didn't get it yet, allow me to rephrase it. You're more than my 4-year-old, I'm actually amazed. Like you couldn't even see the forest for the trees. The writing's on the wall, literally there to see. How you getting sold that a culture blowing up, man? I think there was a point where you stopped growing up, man. Instead of showing up, man, irrationally mad. Don't appropriate impression like the latest fashion fad. It isn't cool or funny to be acting like an edgelord. You alienate friends, pushing closer to the edge more. I don't know how to say